Hey kids, it's the Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Now I'm quite excited because I'm out and about on my latest long-term loan bike from those nice people at KTM UK. This bike is a bike that I've been after riding for ages because I really like riding some of the smaller capacity machines, and this is the Duke 390, which it looks absolutely mean as hell. It's great fun, lightweight, goes really nicely, and really looking forward to getting to know this bike over the next few weeks. So stick around, stay tuned for the next few minutes. I'll give you my initial impressions review of the bike, and then as I get to know the bike over the next, as I say, days and weeks, I'll do some updates and let you know how I get on with it long term. So the first thing that strikes you about the little Duke 390 when you jump on is its riding position. It's quite unusual, quite different to anything I've ridden before. It's definitely quite a small bike, but the riding position is quite aggressive. The handlebars are relatively wide, nice and comfortable. It's not an uncomfortable bike at all, but my knees are quite well tucked up, and my feet almost feel as if they're behind my backside, if you see what I mean, and are almost vertical on the pegs. So it's quite sporty from the waist down, but comfy sitting up on the bike. Obviously, it being a naked bike, I'm not crouched over it, so no problem at all on the comfort front. Seat is a little bit hard, I suppose, but I think I'm yet to sit on a KTM seat that's really comfortable. But I think it's nice and wide. It doesn't feel uncomfortable. I think you could ride this for a good period of time without getting any fatigue. So from a riding position point of view, very nice indeed. And then the next thing that strikes you as soon as you ride this bike, because you can't miss it, you're looking at it all the time, is this amazing Tft Screen. Now, given this is an A2 learner-friendly motorcycle, it's at the cheap end of the spectrum, if you like. It just is not a cheap bike whatsoever in terms of its fit and finish. We'll get onto the costs of it and so on later when I do the walk round, but just looking at this, it's got this Tft Screen. It looks really clear. It's got everything you need. It does all sorts of clever stuff, including linking up to your mobile phone so you can sort out music and calls and stuff. It's got a Bluetooth connectivity. Haven't learnt about how that works yet, but hope to in the next few days and weeks. But it's a really clear presentation. It's got everything you need. It's got a fuel gauge, I'm glad to see, temperature gauge, and this big RPM sweeper around the side of the speed, which I really like. Now I'm in a 30-mile-an-hour zone at the moment, so I can't thrash it. But if I go down a few cogs and you watch the RPM, here we go, I'm in first now. Look, I'm going too much in first, it glows red. I love that. Just little touches like that this Tft Screen does, just adds a sort of an air of quality to the bike. So really like the Tft Screen. And then the other thing that you notice about the bike as soon as you jump on is just its lightweight. Again, I'll go through the specs when I do a walk around, but it's something like 149 kilograms, I think, from memory. I'll check that in a minute. But it just feels super duper lightweight. It's a very similar bike in a lot of ways to the RC 390, the sports bike that KTM lent me a few months back, which I quite enjoyed. It was a characterful bike, and it was lightweight and nimble and flickable, but I didn't gel with it too much because I just didn't like the looks of the thing, whereas this bike looks absolutely amazing. They've done great things to this for 2017. It's got that fancy LED front light that makes it look like its big brother, the 1290 Super Duke. That plus the LCD screen, the fairings and so on, the paint scheme. It's an aggressive stance. I just think it's an amazing looking bike. It's one of those bikes that's in that sort of category that's emerging of these learner friendly bikes, that lives with things like the BMW G310, which I rode a few months ago and really liked as well. So this, I guess, is a direct competitor to the BMW G310, and like the little BMW, this too is built in India, in a KTM factory in India. Well, actually it's not a KTM factory, it's made by Bajaj, or Bajaj, I'm not too sure how you pronounce it, but one of the bigger motorcycle manufacturers in India. KTM have a section, I think, of that factory, and it really is nicely done. There's absolutely no lack of quality. For some reason, lots of people moan when these bikes, smaller bikes, are made in places like Thailand or India. I don't know why, because I've ridden lots of these bikes now, and there is no lack of quality on them. These guys know what they're doing when they're building bikes. Do not let that put you off. It really is nicely put together. Everything about it feels high quality to me. Even though it's only got a 373cc engine putting out something like 44 brake horsepower, it doesn't feel like there's a lack of power. Low down, the gearing is lovely, and you can really, I'm in third at the moment, and if I wind it on, it's really got a bit of shove about it. It's not a bike that you're going to be thinking this thing is slow. I really like it a lot. My initial impressions are that this is a great little bike. It'll remains to be seen how I feel about it over the long term, but to start with, I'm really thinking this is a great bit of kit. I love it. So okay, so much for my sort of initial impressions. What about some of the practical things about the bike? The mirrors, for example. Now it's got these rather awful looking, I think, mirrors that a lot of the KTMs have. These big rubber gaiters on them that I think look awful. But having said that, they do work very well. There's no vibration. Given the bike is a single cylinder machine, you'd think it would be very vibey. Well, it is quite vibraty. You can feel some vibes through the pegs, but you don't feel much through the hand grips, which to my mind is where it matters, and certainly the mirrors don't vibrate. I've got a good view behind. Now, suspension wise, the bike, not surprisingly, is suspended by pretty basic suspension, but it's WP suspension, of course, KTM owning WP, so it's got WP forks on the front. It's all non-adjustable. I think, again, I'll double check that, but there's certainly no adjusters at the front here I can see at the moment. But the ride, to me, seems just about right. They've got it in that Goldilocks zone. It's not too stiff and it's not too soft. It makes the handling really quite lovely when you're flicking it around corners, and also it's not fatiguing, it's not jarring my fillings out my head, so you could do longest journeys on this. And of course the other beauty of it being a relatively small engine single cylinder bike is I imagine it's going to be very frugal indeed. So I think you could fill her up and you could do miles on this for not much cost, which makes it a great proposition to own, cheap to run. Gearbox is lovely and smooth. You'd expect that, of course. It's a brand new bike. It's only done a few hundred miles, this particular machine, and the gearbox is lovely. Snicks into gear, no false neutrals, easy to find neutral when you stop. Clutch has got a lovely light action. One of the things that is just worth me checking actually is the brakes. Just check behind, nothing behind me. It's only got a single disc on the front, but because it's such a light bike, it stops absolutely fine. Of course, it being a new bike, it's got ABS to keep it Euro 4 compliant, and that works absolutely fine. Let me just try the rear brake again. Yeah, rear brake is fine, and rear brakes never work that well on bikes. I mean, it slows you down, but it's the front brake that really matters. And given it's only a single disc, just check behind again. Yeah, it stops really well. Sounds great as well, this little engine. And on lanes like this, you can absolutely chuck it around. It's a brilliant little funster. It's only got fairly narrow little wheels, but it means you can chuck it around really easily and really enjoy your riding. I think it's one of those bikes, if you bought it as a first big bike, then you're not going to get bored of it. I personally love small bikes because you can really ride them sort of to the limits of what they can deliver, and you're not going stupid speeds, and you can really enjoy it. You can work on keeping your speed through corners and so on, and it makes little bikes a joy to own. I think even if you've got you know, big bikes in your garage for your day-to-day machines, if you just wanted a little funster for the weekend, then you know, this is something that you could consider. I rode the Duke 690 a while back, which I liked, but I have to say I think I prefer this, just because it's such a cheeky little thing with the lightweight and its flickability. It's just an eager little bike to please. I like it a lot. And on roads like this, the engine, even though it doesn't sound super powerful, it's got plenty to live, you know, to give you. It can go along at 60, no problems at all. On the motorway, after I picked the bike up, I did wind her up to see how she would do, and it'll maintain 80 miles an hour, no problem at all. Right, what I need to do is find a spot to show you around this little beauty and talk you through the spec as usual. Got to be a little bit careful around these lanes today because the roads are fairly greasy. It's been raining a lot of late, and the roads are a bit damp and gravelly. But it's very confidence inspiring, this little bike. There's nothing threatening about it, which I like. It doesn't feel like it's going to spit you off the back, but at the same time you can wind her up and have a lot of fun on it. I've just noticed the Tft screen has gone into auto dim because we're in a slightly darker area, which is nice. It's very easy to control the functions on here, by the way. It's got these 4 buttons over here, like many KTMs have, that you just cycle through the various functions, and it's got a set button and an exit button, so it's very intuitive to go through the various settings. Only beaten in my mind by the whiz wheel that you get on the big BMWs that I like. Right, let's see if I can stop over here and do the walk around and talk you through the spec. Not about here. It's a bit of a dull day today, unfortunately, so you're not getting the sunshine on the lovely paintwork, but this will do. Right, neutral, nice and easy to find. Stand's got a good little lip on it, so you know when you've got it. Excellent. Here we are then. The 2017 KTM 390 Duke, resplendent in its KTM orange, and you know, this is obviously built to sort of ape, as I say, the big 1290 Super Duke, and they've done a great job. I mean, it's got these great haunches at the front here, the LED light that I love so much, and it just looks you know, a mean and purposeful bike, I think. Let me get the other camera out as usual, and I'll take you through the spec. Okay, there we go. So there's the splendid little Duke 390 in all its orangey glory. The sun's come out now as well, so that's quite nice. Okay, we'll just I'll just show you around it a bit when I've got this slightly better camera, just to show you some of the fit and finish on here, which I think is absolutely lovely. It's got these new graphics for 2017 that look great. I think the trellis frame looks brilliant. I've had a good old close look at the welding and so on. It looks really good quality to me. There's absolutely no skimping on quality here, just because this is a lower end bike, so to speak. And there's that amazing front end that I think looks really brilliant and purposeful, and the new LED light as well on the front there. Excellent stuff. Okay, so to the spec then. As I mentioned, the engine 373cc single cylinder engine, puts out 32 kilowatts, which in the old money, 44 horsepower, which is what you need for an A2 for any machine. It has to be below that, I think, and that's at 9,000 RPM. Puts out 27 foot-pounds of torque at 7,000 RPM. So, as I say, it's not going to win any races at the track day, but it doesn't feel underpowered whatsoever when you're riding the thing. It feels really good, particularly in the lower gears. The brakes, as I mentioned, it's got a single disc on the front. Let's come down here. It's a pretty massive disc though. You can see the ABS ring on there, and it works pretty well. It's not as wimpy as you'd expect, but then the bike is pretty light, and it's, as I say, it's fitted with 2-channel ABS, which includes something called a Supermoto mode, so you can actually switch the ABS off the back if you want to have some fun skidding the back around. You can do that on this bike. Of course, I wouldn't do that. The front suspension, upside down forks, they're the WP forks, as I mentioned. There we go, KTM own them now, and they feel great. Non-adjustable front and back. Got this big old shock here as well on the back, but it feels really good. As I say, it feels like it's in the Goldilocks zone. Seat height 830mm, which sounds quite high, but it's actually quite narrow if you look at the sort of waist here, and it means you can get your feet down easily. I'm only 5'8", and I can get my feet down no problems at all on this bike. Weight wise, it's 149 kilograms dry, so very, very light bike, and it feels light when you're moving it around. It feels light when you jump on it. In terms of tank capacity, 13.5 litres, and the website talks about it having extremely low fuel consumption, so don't yet know what that means. I'll find out as I ride it more, and the tank looks brilliant, but I have no reason to believe it will be anything other than really frugal. Electronics, so you've got the LED headlight, it's got the colour TFT display, which is the way all bikes are going now, isn't it? But it looks really good in action. The switchgear, nice and simple. That's the stuff that you actually select the options on the TFT display, and then on the other side you've got the usual stuff, the start button, and that's about it really. Nothing complicated about this bike, which I quite like. Simple biking. Price wise, £4,599, so as I say, at the cheaper end of the biking scale, but I think you get a lot of bike for your money. In terms of comparing it to the competition, the BMW G310R, which I rode, is 4,290. So this is a little bit more expensive than that, and the Kawasaki Z300 is 4,445. So it's about £100 more than that. But it is cheaper than the Yamaha MT-03, which comes in at 4,895. So this is kind of, out of that batch of the competition, the second most expensive. But they're all within the same sort of ballpark, less than £5,000. And in terms of the colours, you'll of course get it in the KTM orange. It also comes in white as well, and it has this fancy sort of powder-coated trellis frame that I think looks really good. Alrighty, I don't think there's anything else to say about it, other than doesn't she look mean? Alright, let me jump on, do a bit more riding. We really do live in a bit of golden age of motorcycle at the moment, don't we? I mean, even if you're new to biking and you're restricted to the smaller bikes, you get to choose really cool machines like this. You're not, it's not just the big boys that have all the fun. Love it when you turn this on. If we watch the Tft screen here, the usual ready to race stuff, and it just looks lovely. All right, sounds great. Love that gearbox. Right. get out before this car comes. Great fun. I think as a commuter this would be an absolutely amazing bike. It would be brilliant for weaving through the traffic. And at £4.5 grand, what's that, a couple of years of a season ticket into London? Maybe not even that. Think of the fun you could have on this versus on the train. So my initial impressions then are really favourable. I love this little bike already. It's got bags of character just like its sportier brother the RC390 had. But I already think I prefer this over the RC390. It hasn't got the overheating issue, the fan doesn't cut on. Much more comfortable riding position. Hasn't got the vibes that the RC390 has. And it's got just those newer touches like the Tft screen and the new front light that brings it bang up to date, and it really is a nice little bike. So looking forward to getting to know it some more over the next few days and weeks. Stay tuned if you're interested in this bike, because I will be doing a number of videos on the machine as I get to know it. No bike's perfect of course, and I'm sure over time I will find some things. I will actively look for some things that I don't like about the bike, but you only find those out when you've ridden them for a while, don't you? So stick around and stay tuned for that. But until then, look forward to speaking to you next time. And this has been the Missing and Fly. Cheerio.